Hi friends, welcome to Painting for Wellness. I'm your Arts and Wellness Ambassador, Bethany Bennett. Today we're in the painting studio at Atlantic Center for the Arts, and we are going to take a little vacation to southwestern Africa, the country of Namibia. So I've got our reference picture here for us, and you can print up your own if you'd like and put it into quadrants like I have done here, just by using a pencil or a marker. And then we will get started. I'll show you what kind of paint I have here. We've got acrylics, and I've just got white, dark brown, light brown, orange, and a light blue. And I've got several kinds of different brushes. You guys can decide what kind of brushes you use. I like to use a variety so that I can do detail as well as large areas. So let's start by taking a deep breath and centering ourselves. And we're not going to let this picture intimidate us. It does look a little overwhelming if you've never painted before, but it's okay. I picked this out even for beginners. And we're going to start this off in a very simple way, in which I call scumbling. So after I divide my canvas up into 4 quadrants, that helps me simplify the overall image. Then I start going in and making the largest shapes. So for instance, if I was going to start, probably going to pop this horizon line in first with the light blue. So it's a blustery 47 degrees outside, and I'm a native Floridian, and I wanted to paint someplace that was very warm and very dry. And that's why I picked Namibia, also because I've never been to Africa before, and it's definitely on my bucket list. I'd love to see the pyramids, as well as this sub-Saharan desert. So I do the whole top of the sky, different shades of blue. And you can make it all one color if you want, or you can blend it with white. The sky has so much variation in it all the time. Sometimes you'll go outside and see pink in the sky, or oranges or purples. So there's no real wrong color to put in your sky. So that's my overall shape right up here. And once that dries, we can go ahead and take a smaller detail brush or a feather brush and pop in some little white clouds right here. So I've never really been to the desert. I've driven through Arizona and Texas, but nothing like this. Namibia is actually the driest country in Africa. So this is my little vacation to Africa, since I can't technically go there physically. little getaway. I love painting skies. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. We'll let that dry and we'll start with some oranges and browns. Now you can go into this and just paint the shades of different browns and oranges, and then you can go back in and make the little ripples in the sand and all the different, let's see, we've got a couple of trees and we've got these little plants here, so we can pop those in after we paint the larger shapes and shades of browns and oranges. And since I have these colors, I'm actually going to mix my colors a lot today to get different variations of these golds and oranges and browns and everything in there. So you can go ahead and along and play with your colors as much as I do, or switch it up and use yellows, or I like to see what happens. And I think that this reference picture is just aesthetically pleasing in general because it's complementary colors. So I really like that it pops. It will make for a nice composition. And yours doesn't have to look exactly like this. You can change the shape. You can change the colors. You can take as many artistic liberties with this as you want. I could see this being a very abstract painting. Just leaving some things, unidentified. I might switch over to a bigger brush so that I can cover more area. So this part right here is very significant. That's kind of what gives it its three-dimensionality. So that's one part that I'm going to focus on. This comes down to about right here. I'm not too worried about accuracy because I'm just here for fun, to relax. So in a couple of weeks, we will have actual artists using this studio to make some of their own work. And that's exciting because it's always nice to have new people, new artists working in the community. And I hope that you guys use this video and the other videos to begin your artistic careers. So this little bit of contrast here. Develops the shape. And this brown is sort of transparent, so we can always go back and do another layer of paint over top of it if you need to. All right. And I see some brown over here. Now what's fun about this painting is that in this painting you can put a lot of paint on your paintbrush. In other episodes I use more of a dry brush technique, and this one you can use either technique. You can put a lot of paint on your paintbrush, or you can just put a little bit. That's up to you. There's a little tiny bit color over there. This also reminded me of something that perhaps Georgia O'Keeffe would be interested in painting. So I'm going to make some areas a little brighter and then other areas a little darker, just to make those shadows pop a little bit more. So I'm interested if anyone's been to Africa, any part of Africa. And if not, are we going there right now? Because I am in Africa mentally right now. I'm so there. Well, I really would like to know if you guys are going to make any changes in your painting, if you're going to include trees, or if you're going to put a bunch of clouds in your sky. We're not going to worry about it. We're just going to do it intuitively. Whatever you think looks good. And a fun thing to do with your paintbrush is flip it around and use this end to kind of draw into the paint. So you can do that while it's still drying. And that's another fun technique to use when you're using a lot of paint on the canvas. So for instance, if I put a bunch of orange and brown right here down, just lay it down. It's thick, like impasto painting. So once you get a nice layer on there, you can flip your brush and kind of score it like you would with ceramics or printmaking. So it's a fun way to get little details in there. You might not be able to see them so much. So. There's a bunch of different things that you can use as far as creating texture, and that's one of the fun things about painting, is that you can just experiment with sponges and different things that you have laying around your house and figure out what works for you. And I think I am going to pop in those trees. I do like them. The whole thing gives me the Lion King feel, right? One of my favorite movies, by the way. I cry every time I watch that movie. So this is getting very interesting. There's this nice little highlight along here that we're going to pop in. And I'm going to bring this blue down a little bit further as well. Do a very light white. Sometimes if I'm really trying to get nice clean edges, I'll just use a piece of painter's tape and put that along the edge of whatever I'm painting. That's very helpful. But I was dog sitting the other day and my friend's dog ate my entire thing of painter's tape, so I'm gonna have to get a new roll of that. Straight lines have just never been my thing. So, starting to come together. And like I said, I'm gonna pop in some of the highlights on the edge of that sand hill. Let's see. So I'm just mixing orange and white together to make a very light shade of that orange. So just popping in a little highlight right up here, right on the cusp. And that's what I love about acrylic paints, is if you make a mistake, you can just simply wipe it away before it dries. This is just making me want to go to Africa even more. 2022. So I'm kind of putting in a second layer here, and I can still sort of see the pencil mark underneath my layer of paint, so that's encouraging me to add in another layer. And depending on what kind of acrylic paint you're using, some of it's more opaque, than others. So some of them you do have to layer up if you don't want the canvas to show through or you haven't primed your canvas. So we have all these nice little highlights over here. I'd like to put some of those in also. And again, this is one of those paintings that you can work on for hours or days even. Maybe you worked on a larger canvas than this and you need a week to finish it. That's perfectly fine. I love these lights. Little highlights right here. So I'm going to let this dry a little bit. I'm going to pop in a couple of trees and bushes, and then we'll go back in and we'll make some more ripples and some more of these little plants in the front. So let me get my teensy detail brush, and we are going to start with some little trees here. And there is a little bit of green in there. I didn't put green on my palette, but feel free to add whatever colors you want. I was kind of looking at these and seeing that they're almost like silhouettes, so I just chose to use a brown, but you guys can choose whatever colors you want. So this guy over here, put him in here. And we will keep them as just simple little silhouettes. You don't have to do a bunch of detail when you're painting the small little trees like this. They're fun to just pop in, and they can be whatever shape or have as many branches or as little branches as you want. I really like these shadows too over here. So I feel like just popping in these little bushes and trees really gives this landscape more depth and makes it more alive. And the little shadows from it. Now, traditionally I'd use a different color for the shadows. And if you want, you can mix some blue in with your brown and make a darker color. Almost makes like a black if you mix a blue and a brown together. That'll be our little shadow. And also, you don't have to put the trees right there. You can bring them out here if you want, or put them on any part of the landscape. That's totally up to you, how many trees you paint or what size you make them. I was having a hectic day, but now I'm feeling stress-free. And all I had to do was just focus on this little painting. So that really gives it some depth because you see things in the background smaller. And then when you draw the bushes up here, they're going to be larger, right? Yeah, so maybe I will. Maybe I'll pop in a tree. Oh no, I'm a mess. I'm getting, my hand tends to touch the canvas, and I don't use a maul stick, which is one of those sticks that holds your arm out while you're painting, so I tend to drag my own little happy clouds with my hand up here. So, no worries though. I'm not mad about it. All right, so I'm gonna go in and put some little fluffy clouds up there in the sky. I'm just putting white on my paintbrush. And like I said, you can really paint your sky however you want. There's all kinds of colors in the sky, and there's all kinds of different kinds of clouds, and I really like painting clouds. There is a lot over here. And I can still faintly see my pencil line, which is fine. But if you want to cover those up, just paint some more clouds. I think you can see why I like painting clouds so much. It's just very liberating. You don't have to do them a certain way. So I'm gonna come up to the front now and pop in some of these little highlights. And then on those highlights, you can go ahead and get your small brush again and just do this simple little brush stroke, kind of like almost similar to painting palm fronds, like in Florida. And just go, boop, just like that. The smaller the better. Smaller your paintbrush, the better. And if you really want to create depth with these little bushels in the front, you can put highlights as well as contrast on them. So, like I said, you can work on this for as long as you want. And I hope that you're feeling a little more relaxed and a little bit better than you did when you sat down to join us today. And I thank you for being with me today and keeping me company. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks for coming to Painting for Wellness.